let's also remember he said that he had no personal relationship with the president and that he wouldn't have been invited to the White House had he not been FBI director. Well, that tells me he's admitting right there that he was in an official capacity because he said he didn't have a personal relationship with the president. And those notes were taken for one intent purposes only, and that was he did not like this president. You can see from the past experience of them investigating it up through there, and I think they were just used for that. So, for him to claim innocence and now to go back and try and spin this as if something was done to him, that's a joke, and the American people see right through it.
That was Representative Doug Collins disputing Comey's insistence on the memos being personal. It's personal stuff. Here to discuss it, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
So were you surprised by anything that came out in this IG report about James Comey and his actions yesterday?
I was surprised in the sense because Attorney General Barr, the Justice Department, refused to prosecute him, that things might have been a closer call. There may have been some gray areas about his misconduct, but there are no gray areas here. It's pretty clear he violated the law and violated the rules and regulations of the FBI as the IG report lays out. And it shows you that he was a viper at President Trump's breast in the sense that he had it in for him, as Doug Collins noted. For instance, that first meeting he had with the dossier with President-elect Trump, Comey was lying to us when he said, well, he just went there to alert the president. It was his obligation. He needed to give him this key information because it was going to be leaked out. And turns out he went there by his own admission because he wanted to see what his reaction would be because he was investigating the issue. But these guys were targeting President-elect Trump before he was president with this outrageous Russia investigation. And at the time, they knew there was nothing to it. But what sort of FBI was in operation then that they would allow this conduct to take place? And then he starts writing files on him immediately, keeping him at his home, an outrageous violation of the law and virtually any common sense as it relates to the way the FBI is supposed to operate. And he leaks it all. He leaks it to his buddies, quote, his attorneys, and he says he's exonerated by this report. He's just lucky that the Justice Department is operating the way it always operates, which is to give the Democratic left-wing establishment a free pass for criminal activity.
Now, if I recall correctly, President Trump wasn't exonerated by his report, by the one the Mueller put together, but Comey's now claiming that he's exonerated by the report that shows extensive wrongdoing in the course of his job?
Yeah, this report focuses, you have to remember, it was written, there were two reports, it looks like. Factual findings were given to the Justice Department because there were elements of a crime, and the Justice Department needed to figure out whether to prosecute or not. And they declined to prosecute. And so they wrote this report to figure out whether he violated FBI rules and regulations. So in many ways, this is even more damning than the Mueller. I mean, the Mueller report was an exoneration in the sense that there was no basis for a prosecution.
Right.
Not even the prosecutor is recommending a prosecution.
Right.
This is it's a real. It shows you just how out of control Comey was, and what a favor the president did in firing.
But why no charges? Why did the DOJ choose not to prosecute him? They said that the decision wasn't even close. How is this happening under William Barr?
If you narrowly define the crime as to be the release of classified information, it may be a close call. But frankly, I don't even think that's a close call. I don't know what the reason is. I can't think of a reason. I think it's beyond belief the Attorney General or whoever actually made the decision didn't prosecute him. I tell you, and if you think that they can't prosecute him on this, but they will prosecute him on FISA-gate abuse, I think you're whistling past the graveyard. I mean, that would be a much more complex prosecution than what he actually did here, which is release the FBI files on the president.
So just very quickly, how is this not treason? Treason being the attempting to kill a sovereign or overthrow a government. Weren't they trying to overthrow the government here?
I used the phrase seditious conspiracy. They were trying to overthrow the government. They were targeting the president. They wanted to remove him. And in the case of Comey, on top of that, he got fired, so he had this vendetta. So he's trying to disrupt the government by having the special counsel target him. And you know what? The one detail I think is overlooked. is that because we had gotten the document showing the FBI went over to get his materials, he said, "Oh, I got all this other stuff," and he never told the FBI at that meeting, "Oh, by the way, I'd given this to my so-called attorneys, my designated leaker," and so they find that out the next day as he testifies in Congress, and the report details how the lead lawyer for the FBI and Peter Strzok are literally running down the hall because they realize he had not told them he had given classified information to his friend, Mr. Richmond, and they're getting on the horn with him to call him and say, "We need to get your files." I tell you what, if anyone else had done that, the FBI would have run over to his house and arrested them.
Yeah.
You mentioned that first meeting they had in January of 2017, where James Comey is telling then President-elect Trump about the contents of the Steele dossier. The whole time, it's always been framed as if it was a defensive briefing. They were literally helping the president to understand the threat against him. But we know now, as you mentioned, that this was offensive briefing. It was literally designed to collect information on the president's reaction to those allegations, to document them. But hasn't James Comey told us that it was the troublesome nature of those meetings that provoked him into beginning to document the president's actions in those memos? And when I say us, isn't that what he told Congress? Don't we have something here where we can say, look, it appears he has lied to Congress. You've watched as Trump people have been taken down for getting dates wrong in their testimony before Congress. It looks like James Comey's gone a whole step further.
Yeah, he had it in for President Trump to begin with, and he didn't create these memos because of anything Trump had done in his presence. He didn't like Trump. He didn't trust him for whatever reason. So he created files on him. It wasn't the meetings themselves. He went in there in that first meeting, by the way, which had been discussed and set up in an Oval Office meeting with Barack Obama, Joe Biden,
Yes,
and the rest of his top security staff. I tell you, this brings it all back to Barack Obama again, because he goes in planning to investigate the president-elect as a result of meetings and discussions he was having with the senior levels of the Obama administration, including in the Oval Office. It would be interesting to see what the next next IG report's going to be like in that regard.
Well, it was Obama. Didn't Obama ask in that meeting? He said, who's going to be the one to do it? He was looking around the room wondering who was going to be the one to actually do this.
Yeah.
And they turned and they said, it's Comey. They said Comey. And
Yeah, and Obama said good luck with that or something like that.
Yeah.
He knew. Obama knew.